Switzerland in the Middle Ages and early modern period, the most common method of execution, at least for males, was decapitation with a sword. From the 15th century up to and including the 18th century, 1445 persons were condemned to death, 1198 men, 247 women. 915 of these were sentenced to be beheaded, 270 hanged, 130 burnt alive, 99 drowned, 26 broken on the wheel, 1 quartered alive, 2 buried alive, 1 immered, and the last one was impaled. The last 3 execution methods were in use in the 15th century. Drowning was discontinued in 1613. On the 21st of December 1937, the Federal Assembly of Switzerland adopted the first national criminal code. It abolished capital punishment, which had been provided for by several cantonal criminal codes. The new code was ratified by referendum on the 3rd of July 1938, and entered into force on the 1st of January 1942. Capital punishment is prohibited in Switzerland under its federal constitution and has been abolished for all crimes, both in civil and military law. The death penalty is considered a violation of the fundamental right to life and a form of torture and ill treatment. Switzerland actively advocates for the universal abolition of capital punishment and works to strengthen international frameworks to limit or suspend its application. Switzerland is committed to a world without capital punishment and actively works to promote its abolition globally through international cooperation, dialogue with countries still using the death penalty, and support for international initiatives. In August 2010, the family members of a murder victim launched a new constitutional amendment initiative proposing the introduction of capital punishment in cases involving murder combined with sexual violence. The initiative quickly found itself at the center of public attention and was roundly rejected by political leaders. It was withdrawn a day after its official publication. Paul Nigger was the last person to be sentenced to death and executed in Switzerland after a criminal trial in the canton of Zug, and the penultimate non-military execution in Switzerland. Paul Nigger is also the last person sentenced to death in several cantons. Before a new penal code, without capital punishment for civilian crimes, was adopted in 1942. Capital punishment was abolished for ordinary crimes in 1942 and completely abolished, including in military law, in 1992. Switzerland is committed to a world without capital punishment and actively works to promote its abolition globally through international cooperation, dialogue with countries still using the death penalty, and support for international initiatives. Sometimes the impact of parents' behaviors could showcase on their children. Irniger's mother was a known criminal and had several criminal records for fraud and other offenses. After the early death of Paul Nigger, father, the 6-year-old grew up in the Walterswil Children's Home. As a teenager, Paul Nigger tried several times, unsuccessfully, to enter a monastery. He was never accepted. Paul Nigger started his crime spree on the 5th of December 1933. Irniger took the train to Zug and from there took a taxi in the direction of Bar. He shot the taxi driver near Bar and fled with a loot of 60 Swiss francs. After the crime, Paul Nigger was arrested for fraud and sent to the Still prison in Lucerne. During his time in prison, Paul Nigger managed to escape prison. Paul Nigger went to Einsiedeln, where he disguised as a Trappist priest read masses and made confessions in various churches. After the imposture was discovered, Irniger was imprisoned for a few months. A connection to the murder in Bar was not recognized. When Paul Nigger was released from prison, Irniger went to Ticino, where he met a woman and tried his hand at selling vacuum cleaners. Paul Nigger also committed various break-ins. As Paul Nigger continued his crime spree and thought he was invisible, but to his surprise on the 9th of August 1937, Paul Nigger was arrested in Rapperswil and taken to the police station. While under arrest, under police custody, there, Paul Nigger shot a police officer and fled towards Lake Zurich, with various people chasing him. On the run, Irniger also shot one of his pursuers and killed him, but was then caught by the angry population, who were chasing him after he killed 2 people. After his arrest, Irniger was brought to St. Gallen, where he was charged. In addition to the 2 homicides committed in Rapperswil, Paul Nigger also confessed to the murder in Bar. He was brought to justice and sentenced to death for the murders in Rapperswil in April 1938, but pardoned by the Grand Council of the Canton of St. Gallen to life imprisonment. But that did not save his life. Prior to 1942, criminal law in Switzerland was indeed a matter primarily determined and administered by the individual cantons. This meant that each canton had its own set of criminal laws, procedures, and courts. The unification of criminal law at the federal level, with the introduction of the Swiss Criminal Code on January 1, 1942, marked a significant shift in the Swiss legal system. After a long and complex process of preparation and debate, the Swiss Criminal Code was finally adopted and came into effect on January 1, 1942, creating a uniform national framework for criminal law. While the substantive criminal law became federal, some areas like criminal procedure and the execution of sentences remained largely within cantonal jurisdiction. Since criminal law in Switzerland was a matter for the cantons before 1942, Irniger could only be convicted in St. Gallen for the crimes committed in that canton. In the trial for the murder in Bar, Irniger was also sentenced to death in the canton of Zug. He withdrew his appeal to the higher court itself and waived a petition for clemency so that the judgment in the first instance became final. He gave up on himself and decided not to appeal anymore. Paul Nigger was then executed on the 25th of August 1939 in the prison in Zug using the guillotine borrowed from Lucerne. He was the last person to be sentenced to death and executed in Switzerland after a criminal trial in the canton of Zug, and the penultimate non-military execution in Switzerland. Paul Nigger was 25 years old at the time of his execution. Thank you for watching Death Row.